Hello and welcome to the Open Paddock RallyCast. This is episode 43 for Wednesday, November 14th, 2018, and boy do we have a treat for our listeners this week. We have none other than 10 times Canadian Rally Champion Antoine Lestage. We've been excited to have him on the show. We've been wanting to do it for a long time. We'll chat about being one of North America's legends alongside John Buffum, and we'll get details on his latest adventures working gravel crew in the WRC, his experience driving a Proto Fiesta in Latvia, and what his plans are for the future. This is Open Paddock, the RallyCast. It's a new show, been off for a couple of weeks, and we finally have Ian Holmes, who's recovering from too much leaf raking. And I hear you said something about wanting to challenge Ken Block to a Model T Gymkhana?
Yeah, I think that would be kind of fun, because doesn't like Ken Block's latest Gymkhana video that he's been publicizing on the internet, he's been publicizing the production of. He has like five different cars in it. I think
he's got an old truck now.
Yeah, he's got a truck. He's got the Cozzy back, and or a Cozzy back, and why doesn't he do his donuts in a Model T or something like that? We've got to cover the full development of Ford cars. Why not?
Can you do a Model T in 4-wheel drive and like 400 horsepower?
You know what? If anybody could, it be Ken Block's Hoonigan Workshop, couldn't it?
Probably.
Yeah, but the Model T it's safely ensconced in the garage in here on the prairie. So very excited to have that. It's going to spend the winter doing a little bit of work on it. I discovered that the toe in on the front wheel it should be like a maximum of a quarter of an inch, and it's actually about 1.5 inches on this car. So no wonder that the passenger side front wheel is like a racing slick.
I was gonna say, yeah, it definitely would wear a little wrong on that.
Yeah, for sure. Sense. Yeah.
Oh wow, well that is a cool car, a legend of a vehicle. And speaking of legends, we're gonna be talking here in just a second with Antoine Lestage. So when we come back, Antoine Lestage, 10-time Canadian Rally Champion. We have with us our special guest this evening that we're so excited to have finally on the show. We've been wanting to have him on for a long time. Antoine Lestage, welcome to the Open Paddock RallyCast. You're obviously, everybody knows you as the fitness guru extraordinaire, and I guess you've done a few cool things in a rally car too.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course, most everybody knows your background. I mean, you're 10 times Canadian Rally Champion. You've got 6 North American Rally Cups. You've won the 2010 Rally America Championship. Wow, quite the history. You are now a legend. How does it feel to be compared to the likes of John Buffum, who was your team manager once and whatnot, and just be in that legend category?
Well, that's a bit weird, because to me it's pretty nice. It's an honor to have people call me like that, but to me, I don't feel like I'm done yet. And for me, legends are more when you're retired or something like that. But anyway, yeah, when I look back, I do have quite a decent record, and but I would not put myself in the same category as guys as John Buffum. John he was more than my manager. He's my friend. He played a big role in my career, and we can call him a legend for sure.
When we talk to guests on the show, we talk about how they got interested in motorsport, and a lot of people have said that they watched rally on TV. But it sounds like you had a much different introduction to the sport, and that your father was he a rally driver? But he was in motorsport, wasn't he? What was that like?
Yeah, correct. That's how I got presented to rally, let's say. I was always, at home we were normal kids, and here in Quebec playing hockey and doing a lot of sports. But my dad, when I was really young, was a rally driver, and he did a bunch of good rallies. He participated in the what used to be the WRC round here in Quebec, Critérium du Québec, in the late 70s, and so I was a young kid. I could not even remember the first rallies I went to. And then after that, he stopped for a while because he had a family, and focusing on us, maybe putting his hobby aside a little bit, and then he started rallying again when I was around 12 or 13, and that's where I got really passionate about rallying when I was a teenager, and started to go to rallies with him, and got involved with helping out services and things like that, and got to discover the sport, from the inside. So, and very quickly, I just became passionate about it and started to watch videos and read magazines and wanted to go to all the rallies. And at some point for me, it was a no-brainer. When as soon as I could drive, I would start rallying, and that's what happened when I had my driving license and my first little car. Me and my brother, we would go out when there was a snowstorm, and we would go play with the cars, and it was always about rallying and nothing else. And we would pretend we were in a stage in Monte Carlo at night, and just drifting
Awesome.
the car in the little village where we used to live. And my dad showed me right away, like left foot braking and things like that, as soon as I started driving. And from there, I went to build my first small car, which was a Toyota Corolla rear-wheel drive. And we were not a rich family, so we did that all together. My dad helped a little bit, and it was my daily driver for a while, and started to do some small rallies, regional rallies, and it went well. And then, like a lot of people that are passionate about rally, I did like a lot of us do, everything was going towards rally, and every penny I would earn would go into rallying, and slowly climbed up the ladder and had good results at my first year in a four-wheel drive production car, and then sold the car and slowly got sponsorships, and here we are. So that's something I'm proud of, because I climb up the ladder, let's say, starting from the bottom. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I was kind of curious what kind of cars did your dad drive?
Oh, back in the day, he drove like Volvos, and he had Datsun 240s and things like that. But when the last cars he had were like, you remember the Mazda 323 GTX? Like
Yes, sir. We have a couple out here in the Northwest. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, I did the first rally sprint I did. Let's say I was very lucky then, because my dad let me drove his car. And my brother was only 15, but we got a special permission for him to co-drive for me, even though he didn't have his driving license. And we did a little rally sprint on snow here, and we finished second behind a 30-year-old guy that was also driving a 323 GTX. So very early, I got good result, and so, but it was only a one-time thing. He let me drove his car, and after that, I was on my own with my little Corolla. But yeah, so he ended up his career driving that car, and then an Eagle Talon also, and the last few cars he drove were Subarus. So he did rallies quite a long. When he did his last few rallies, I was rallying, and my brother was also rallying. So we did enter some rallies, the three of us. There's actually a national event here in Canada, I think Personnage one year, where the three of us were in the top 10. So
oh wow.
yeah, we're a rally family. My dad won the novice championship here in Canada one year. I won it later, and my brother also won it a few years after me. So there's a few things we've done as a family here in Canada that are pretty cool.
Oh gosh! Oh, that Lestage family winning again, aren't they?
Yeah. So unfortunately, my dad is not with us anymore. He died 2 years ago. Got just attacked by a very severe cancer, and within a few months, it went from just having a normal life to leaving us. So, but yeah, we used to have lots of rally discussions around family dinners, and yeah, it's a tradition in our family. And my sister also co-drove for a long time. She's a lawyer now. but she co-drove for a bunch of drivers here in Quebec and Canada. So we've all been involved with rallying.
That is awesome. That yeah, love it when the whole family gets involved, and
Yeah.
hey, maybe your kids, when they're done with hockey, they'll start taking the torch into rallying, right?
Yeah, we'll see. For now, they don't seem to be very interested in it, to be honest. I think they enjoy it, but I don't know. Maybe they're just, I don't know if they're intimidated about it or about what I've achieved or something like that, but they seem to do their own things for now, and I've never pushed them into it, and they'll develop their own passions, and if they want to try it, for sure I'll be there to support them. But if they do their own thing, I'll also support them in whatever they do.
Yeah, so clearly, earlier in your career, you had family competition and the support from your father, and now you've got to this stage with all your titles. So, what motivates you? What motivates you now to carry on?
Yeah, that's a good question. Sometimes people ask me, why do you keep doing this? Are you going to go to Europe or something like that? But as we all know, it's not that simple to find the backing to go to Europe. So I've always been, let's say, attached to North America because the sponsors I had were always, their interests were in North America. So I stayed in North America. And some people say, why you keep doing this? You've won the Canadian Championship 10 times. You've won all these rallies, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. But I'm passionate about the sport, and I'm passionate about the driving. And even though, and I like the people, even though these rallies I've done many times, and I always like when the organizers switch them a little bit or find new roads or run the rallies in different directions. So there's always a challenge. There's never an easy rally. And I just like to be in a rally car and driving fast. And it's just a world that I'm really happy with, comfortable with. It's my passion. It's my life. So, I mean, it doesn't take much, and I'm always ready to go a rally. And I think, like everybody that is really passionate about that sport and has done it quite enough, will find a way to always be interested and want it to keep going.
Well, as long as I've known you, since I started becoming involved in the sport, and becoming a volunteer and all that stuff, and seeing you compete out west, here in the States, I've always known you being that privateer for the most part, just always on the cusp of getting that factory seat. Then it kind of finally happened with Subaru Canada, and I think a while back you also had another factory drive, right? Was Hyundai a factory car, or is that still a kind of semi-privateer?
Yeah, it was a private effort. I had some backing from Hyundai here in Canada, and I also had some backing from Mitsubishi. But these programs were private efforts. The Hyundai was something we put together with John. When he still had the Hyundai cars after the USA program with Hyundai had ended up, and after that with Mitsubishi, it was my car. We built it. We had to find sponsors, but we had a little bit of money from Mitsubishi also. But it was never a factory drive. It was never a factory ride. If I was whatever was breaking, we had to figure out a budget to make it happen. And but so it took a long time before I got a proper factory drive. But still, I think I was fortunate enough to have good sponsorship, and I was able to do what I did for many years. I was competing on both the Canadian and the U.S. championships, doing 12, 13, 14 rallies a year. And luckily, I was not going off too often, even though I did go off pretty badly in Oregon
2013.
But luckily in my career, I didn't have too many off, so I was able to run a pretty good run as a privateer with limited resources. But and then it came in at the end of 2014 after a perfect season where we won all the rallies here in Canada. We got the call and drove for Subaru since then. So it was really cool.
What was it like, finally getting that factory deal and not having to manage the team aspect and fixing the car yourself so much and all that, and just kind of letting, another crew kind of work on it? You could essentially kind of arrive and drive, right? Just focus on the recce and the driving, and and the setup?
The last few years when I was running my own team with John and with the Evo 10, it was a little bit like that in terms of John would take care of preparing the car and I would show up and the car would be ready. But I was involved in getting the sponsorship and always talking to sponsors, and I was involved in everything basically. So it was a lot of work still. So when the drive came with Subaru, it was a totally different thing, just to focus on the driving and do some more testing and just arrive and do the rallies. It was very nice, but it was also it brings another dimension when you represent a manufacturer like that. You have to deliver results. Some people at the shop, their job depends on whether you perform or not. So it brings a different pressure to the job, and it's a different aspect, but I really enjoy it, and it's been fantastic the 3 years we did with Subaru Canada and Rocket Rally.
Actually, I was going to throw in one other thing because we've got actually a question came in from one of our strong followers, one of my good friends, Mike Cleaver. You might know him from over there in British Columbia. Yeah. He says hi.
Hi, Mike.
He says that you're known as one of the most successful privateer drivers in North America. What did you do that others didn't? And is there anything you wish you had maybe done differently?
Well, one thing I did is I never gave up in terms of chasing sponsorship. Sometimes people think it might have been easy, but it was. If we go back to the discussion we were having a little bit earlier, I had a little two-wheel drive car, and then I had a couple of good results with the car, and then I said I need to move to the next level. So I was able to sell the car for a decent price, and then I bought a four-wheel drive Eagle Talon that we basically built ourselves in one of my friend's garage, Yannick, who used to be my co-driver back then. So it was just putting a lot of effort, and at the same time, knocking on doors, asking money, presenting different options to local companies. And I was always able to get a little bit of sponsorship there and there. And at some point in 2014, I presented something to Yokohama, and they accepted. So I got Yokohama as a sponsor. And once you get, let's say, a big company, it seems like it got maybe a little bit easier to get other bigger companies to get on board.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
But also I was in a good period of my career where I was delivering. So I was chasing sponsors, telling them, you won't be regretting it. We'll be performing. You'll get exposure on TV. We'll win rallies, and I was delivering. So, but still, it was a constant. It's a 24-hour job almost, and doing my day job and doing phone calls during my day job and coming back at home and working on stuff until late at night to prepare proposals and sending proposal and calling people. So that's what I did. And I was always careful with the marketing aspect and the way we presented the team and doing press releases, doing as much as we could for our sponsors to keep them happy. And maybe I was a bit lucky also, like I said, I was fortunate to get good sponsors, and but for sure it was a lot of work and never giving up, because there was a lot more no's than yes. So so I don't know if it answered the question.
Well, I think the only other bit was he was wondering if there was anything that you would have done differently, I guess, during that process as a privateer. It seems like it's been pretty successful to me, though, so I don't know if there is anything you can do differently.
Yeah, no, honestly.
Win the lottery?
I have, maybe win the lottery, but I don't think I would do anything different, and like I said, I was fortunate to work with John Buffum, and, it's a question of timing also. At some point I bought in 2002, I bought an old Hyundai Elantra that had been built by Libra Racing, but I bought it from another guy. But at some point, I needed some help, and for me, John Buffum was an idol. I would go to rallies with my dad in the 80s, and John would show up with his Group B Quattro, and for me, it was like God. And then at some point, I needed to call him, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to call John Buffum, and blah blah, and I'm going to go visit him to his shop, which is only like an hour and 15 minutes from where I live. And then he accepted to help me and take some time and go over the car. And I don't know, maybe he saw some potential in me. I was a young guy that was very determined, and he started to help me and work with me. And he never really helped me in terms of driving tips. It was more about the strategy around the races, and at beginning with my career with setups and tire decisions and things like that. And like I said, he played a big role because he helped me after get into a better car. And so, it was, I think it was a good relationship also because it was helping him keep running his Libra racing business. And he was happy to go to the rallies. You know, he's also, like, he's 75 and he's still super passionate about rallies. So it was also good for him. It was a good partnership. So no, I enjoyed every minute of it, and I don't think I would change anything.
So, what were your feelings then after Subaru Canada announced their cutback of the factory team? Because you've for 3-4 years you had all this great support, and then I don't want to say it was like the rug was pulled out from under your feet, but it's like did you feel like you were going back to the old days of chasing up sponsors yourself again?
Yeah, a little bit. It was like, I don't know how you said it. The rug was pulled under my feet. It was actually. It was a big deception because a big disappointment. Sorry, it was at the end of 2017, and we were told only like super late after the last rally of the season. It's not something I saw coming. You know, every year it was always a little bit late, the decision to keep going. It's normal in motorsport, but Subaru has been involved in rallying for so long that I just thought, it's going to keep going. And I think everybody thought it would keep going, but they decided to stop the team. So yeah, big disappointment. And it put me and everybody, just not me. If you think of Rocket Rally and Pat Richard, his business, it put him in a tough situation. Although he's bouncing back and he has customers and things are still running quite well in BC with Rocket Rally. But for me, I had sold everything when I signed with Subaru, so I no longer have a car, trucks, trailer, parts, anything. So that's what made this year very hard. So we tried to make a deal with Subaru Canada to use the car, and we're still working on this with Rocket Rally to find a way to be out there next year. And so yeah, it was a bit of a difficult season, and yes, it's back to chasing sponsorships a little bit and things like that. But as we know, it's not easy. So we did the Rocky Mountain Rally this year. We had a good run. We won the rally. Then I had the opportunity to go to the Trois-Rivières Grand Prix and do the rallycross section in a side-by-side with Bombardier. So that was a very nice experience where I won also. And then in October, I got another great opportunity to go do a rally in Europe, in Latvia, and try something different. And that was also great. So I was still active this year, not as much as I was hoping, and still working on stuff for 2019. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I guess that's kind of one of the things I was wondering is no longer being locked under a manufacturer banner. I know that's something that kind of David Higgins kind of been under, right? It's, driving a Ford or something that looks like a Ford, maybe if the underpinnings are different, you probably aren't able to do that so much before, but now you kind of, is there more opportunities now that you're not locked into a single manufacturer as far as that you can at least suss out?
Oh yeah, for sure. Now, technically, there is more opportunities, but I don't know if everybody knows, but let's tell the world now. I am available. I can drive anything. I would like to keep the relationship with Subaru because it's been a very good relationship, and but if nothing can be done with Subaru, I'm open to anything. So yeah, in a way, it opens opportunities, but at the moment, nothing came to the table for me to go in a different direction. So yeah.
Well, we've also noticed that you got to do some other different things. We saw you posting that you're out at some WRC events doing gravel crew, was it?
Yeah, yeah, correct. That came also, Craig Parry, a good friend of mine that is from Wales, co-drove for me in 2013 here in Canada, and we stayed in touch and we became friends. And he came back to co-drive for me once in Ojibwe in 2015 when we went down with the Subaru, and always stayed in touch. And he was co-driving for Gus Greensmith with M Sport in the WRC2. And he gave me a call in December last year, not too long after the Subaru program stopped, and asking me if I would be interested and available to do some work with them, and if I wanted to go to Monte Carlo. So obviously, with what happened and me being a little bit more free with less rallies on the program, I accepted. So I did some work with them this year, and looks like it's going to keep going in 2019. Although I don't know exactly what the program is at the moment, I only know about Monte Carlo. So yeah, that's a pretty cool experience. Of course, it's always nicer when you do the rally, but it's very nice to be involved at that level and working with such a professional team, and play with the big boys in the big league, and get to see what's happening out there. And it's and like I said, I'm passionate about rally, so if I can still be out there at some rallies, and I'm really happy with that.
Well, it must have been pretty cool flashback to when you were a kid, acting like you were at Monte Carlo, and then there you are, actually working gravel
Yeah.
crew on, I mean, those famous roads. I mean, going up Col de Turini. I mean, how did that feel?
Oh, that was absolutely unbelievable. So yeah, it was very special, and yeah, to drive these roads, and the atmosphere over there, and the passion from the public and everything it's very special. So yeah, it was really cool, and I look forward to go back.
So, while we're on the subject of Monte Carlo, I was watching an old interview just the other day, and you were reading about the minis that won Monte Carlo back in the day, and you kind of like wished that you were there driving those older rally cars. I mean, it seems like it's all in with the passion for the sport. Have you ever had a chance to drive one of the old minis yet?
No, 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 not yet. I do own a Mini, though. I have a 1979 Mini, original classic car. So I've always been very interested about the history of the sport and old cars and stuff like that. But no, I've never driven one of these old cars on the Monte Carlo road. That would be something very special. But yeah, for now I'll just keep doing it with modern cars, and it's way more simpler. But yes, you're right. I am a big fan of the history of rallying. It's such a, yeah, like I said, I'm passionate about it for what it is right now. It's pretty amazing what the World Championship is right now, but I'm also very interested to look back at some of the great eras we had with the Group B cars, and even before that. So yeah, it's just the best sport in the world.
Absolutely. And so we go. You have your fascination with the old cars, but then when you were in Latvia or Estonia, you were driving the Proto Fiesta. I mean, that's the other end of the technological field. I mean, what's driving a car like that like?
Oh yeah, it was pretty good. It was first the experience to try a rally in Europe was something Alan and I wanted to do for a while, and Maris Nixon, who owns the team there in Latvia, came to do a rally in Canada here last year at the end of the Big White Rally, and we met there, and it's a rally we won, and I think he was not impressed, but I don't think he was expecting that kind of pace from us in North America, and he was a bit surprised, I think, by what we did at the rally and what Brendan Semenuk did also just behind us and things like that. So we spoke, and I told him that I would like to go do a rally in Europe at some point, and then we did not talk for a long time, and he came back to me like somewhere in September, He had been working hard on building these new one of the new protos, and building a very nice car with very good chassis with crazy suspension travel and suspension geometry, a little bit like an R5 car. Not exactly like an R5, but with the same idea of an R5, with the Mitsubishi drivetrain, engine, and differentials, with a good sequential box and stuff like that. So he wanted me to be the first one to drive his car in a rally. So I called Alan, and we had a couple of sponsors that were willing to come on board, and we decided to go. And it was a fantastic experience. We were very nicely welcomed over there, and good people, good competition, very well organized rally, and it was we'll always remember that. Very good experience.
I mean, what was it like comparing your times to some of these, ERC, well-known drivers? They know some of the roads and all that stuff. It seemed like you were right up there with them.
Yeah, well, the ERC guys, I was not comparing with them because we were doing the national portion of the event, and honestly, the ERC guys with the latest spec R5s were going really fast. So I was more focused on the national guys, but in the national rally, there was also guys driving R5s and some a bit like open class cars, a little bit like what we have here. So I wanted to see what we could do against these guys that have been to that rallies many times. They knew the roads and stuff like that, and we did really well. After the first few stages, just before the end of the first day, we were beating all these local guys. It was only one of the European guy that was also registered in the national portion, like Nikolai Grazin, who ended up winning the rally overall in the ERC. He was the only one that was ahead of us, but we were right up there with the best Latvian guys and Estonian guys, so that was pretty cool. But we were still, if you compare with the ERC guys, we did a couple of stage times where we were like 8th or 9th fastest, but I think it was not so bad with a brand new proto that still needed some development on a new rally, a new country, new rally. So yeah, Alan and I were both happy with what we showed, and it just shows that we can drive here also in North America, and it's at the end of the day, it's the same. It's a rally, and I have enough experience to go to a rally and go do 2-pass recce and put the work with the videos and go out there and not embarrass myself. So it was it was good.
Bringing things kind of back to North America, but talking about these protos, do you think we've got some of these kind of what we've seen? Art Grushka has been building his Mitsubishi for a long time now, his little Mirage. You've got Peter Fatella's got his that he's been using. Do you think this is kind of a new thing that can be more affordable than an R5 solution to start seeing people race in North America?
Yeah, for sure. It's that's the thinking process behind these cars, because in Europe, even though there's a lot more money involved in rallying in Europe, still some national guys like us are looking for different options. R5, if you want a proper R5, we're talking about 250,000 pounds maybe without spare parts, and the maintenance of these cars are pretty expensive, and they're very expensive cars to run. So these protos bring an alternative, because the Group N cars are getting old. Some of the guys are still running Mitsubishi Evo 8, Evo 9, Evo 10s that are no longer manufactured. So in these countries, the people are trying to find solution, and they can't necessarily afford an R5. So these protos are starting to be more and more popular, and they're half the price of an R5. So it's still expensive if you have a good one, but yeah, it could become something very interesting for North America. So we'll see what happens with that.
One thing that's come to light recently is like the possibility of a WRC round in Canada. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that would be awesome. But it's a long-term project, and the resources and the budget needed to do that are quite big. But yeah, it's been discussed before. We have the snow. Some of the manufacturers and the costs that are involved in WRC for just one winter rally makes sense to have another one. It could be fitted with the same trip when everybody comes to Mexico. Maybe mid-February or late February, we could have an event and then just bring everything to Mexico after when everything is on the continent here. So there's definitely some sense to that, but to make it happen and to find the sponsorship and put everything together is a long process. But it would be really nice if that could happen one day. And there's a very good group of people working on it at the moment. So we'll keep an eye on that, and they know I'm there. I'm happy to help if in the process at some point if they need to, and it would be it would be pretty special.
Well, speaking of WRC, this weekend, of course, actually starting tomorrow, we see the final round of the WRC in Australia starts up. I got to ask you, man, predictions on this championship? 3 points separates Thierry and Ogier.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Ogier. I'm more of an Ogier fan for different reasons. I really like Tanak also. It's unfortunate what happened to Tanak in the last two rounds, because he was the man, and he could have won in Rally GB, could have won in Spain also. So if he had not had the bad luck, he would be the one in the driving seat right now and in a position to win the championship. So to me, he's been the strong man this year. He's the fastest guy. Unfortunately, I think he's in a position where now it's going to be very hard for him to win the championship. And then I think Ogier is doing a fantastic job with the semi-official team. And I just, I'm not a big fan of Neuville. He's just a preference. He's a fantastic driver. He's one of the fastest, clearly, but I would just go with Ogier. It's just my pick.
I'm with you. I'm with you there. I'm an Ogier man too. So
yeah, even first on the road, I think he still can do it. I don't know if anybody that can manage a rally better than he can, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah, he will struggle, but just one car difference, it will make a difference for sure. So it might hurt him a little bit, but hopefully he can finish the first day in a good position to be well positioned for the second day. And yeah, but it's going to be a big fight, and I think everybody will be flat out. So anything can happen. We saw it this year. Ogier did a few mistakes this year, so there's definitely a lot of pressure. But like he said in an interview after the last rally, it's always better to be a few points ahead than a few points behind. So the pressure maybe is more on the guys behind him. So and what about Loeb winning in Spain? How cool was that?
Well, when you were saying earlier, it's like, you don't feel like you're done yet, but being a legend. I'm like, well, look at Loeb. He just won. He's a legend. So there you go.
Yeah. That was because I like Ogier, but I like Loeb even better. So it was really nice to see him come back and do that. It was absolutely amazing. Okay, he had the right conditions. He had a very good road position on the first day, but still, he did the job on the 2 days on tarmac, and very inspired tire choice on the last day, and it was really cool to see that. So yeah, good things happening in the World Championship these days. Very interesting, and
I think it makes just the sport of rallying in general that much more popular, which I think is good for all of us.
Yep.
Yeah,
totally.
I know you've got just a couple minutes. We have to let you go. I did have one question I wanted to ask you, and I've asked this to several of our guests, especially those that have been involved in rallying in a long time. It's kind of the blank check question thing. There's been a lot of changes in rallying in sanctioning bodies and rule sets and things like that over the last few years. Everybody wants to find a way to help this sport grow. If you could have a blank check, if there's one thing that you'd like to see different or change to help grow the sport, what would you do? What would you like to see happen?
Oh boy, there's more than one thing. I would like to see everybody working together in North America and do one big North American championship. I don't know how we could make that happen, but try to find a way where all the best drivers in North America meet at the same event.
Yeah.
That would be something. I don't know if it's feasible. And also find a way to have more manufacturer involved, to have more good seats available, to create a better championship and more competition. And then, because at the moment it's very hard. If you look in North America, if you're a young driver and you want to have a career, the seats available to go to the top are very, very limited. So the sports, it's hard for the sport to grow in a professional way for people to have a dream of becoming that pro driver, So just would be nice to find a way to have more manufacturers involved and more professional seats available so that young drivers would see that there's a goal that they can attain,
Understandable. I can't agree more with that. I know it's always a challenge between the privateers versus the manufacturers, but if there's that place that somebody as a privateer can grow to, a manufacturer spot they can get to, something to achieve, I think that would be a huge thing. I think for our sport to have.
Yeah, but we still need privateers. It's part
certainly.
of the rally. Also, it's like
it's a majority of
it
entries.
will always. Yeah, it will always be like that, and it has to stay like that because that's also something very cool about our sport. You start in rallying, and you do the same rallies as the guys winning the rallies. And you go through the same process, the same roads, and everything. In a lot of other disciplines, you won't be the same. You won't do the same Grand Prix as the F1 guy. You'll go in a different category and things like that. In rallying, we all do the same thing, and it's there's so many good things about rally, and we don't thank enough all the volunteers and what everybody does, and it's just it's a good community, good family.
Yeah, absolutely. That to me is the great thing about rally. As you just mentioned, you're there in your work Subaru, and I'm at the next year I'll be at the back in a two-wheel drive truck, but we are essentially having the same experience on the same roads, and that's just something really special.
Yeah, totally. And maybe when we end up the loop, maybe I'll end up finishing my career in a small two-wheel drive in a few years and just driving around having fun. So it's what's fantastic about that sport.
Oh yeah. Man, see, what you would do in a two-wheel drive would be hilariously fun to see. So you said you're working on stuff for 2019. Is there anything you can announce right now? We're just kind of building things up.
No, still building things up. I'm still looking for sponsorship. So I need to say it. Sorry, but if anybody is interested, and I know sometimes people might say, well, he's been champion so many times, how come he can't find sponsorship? But sometimes people might think because we've been champion many years, we don't need sponsorship, but we still need sponsorship. So I'm still working on that and having discussions with Pat Richard and Rocket Rally and to try to put something together. But like I said, I'm open to anything, and I want to be back out there next year, and maybe just in Canada, maybe both Canada and the U.S. So we'll see.
Well, where I lie on that one. I would love to see you over here in the States again. It's been way too long since I've seen you on the Oregon Trail roads. So.
Yeah, I know, and there's, it's not simple. Like I said, I've been linked with Subaru for a long time, but Subaru USA, I don't know exactly what they're going to do. They still have David. They're winning with David. They have a bunch of other drivers, but they know I'm there. Maybe there's an opportunity there, but I don't know it. As we speak, I don't know what's going to happen. So we'll see. But hopefully we'll see you guys soon on the rally.
Well, yeah, we certainly hope we see you soon for sure.
Well, thank you, Antoine Lestage, for taking the time being on our RallyCast. Really enjoyed it. Look forward to hearing more from you. And whether it's here in North America or whether it's over there in Europe, that was some exciting stuff to be able to just follow those times as you're over there. We really enjoyed seeing a North American being competitive out there. So fun stuff. I look forward to seeing you next year, sir.
Thank you guys for having me.
Okay.
All right. Take care,
Wonderful.
Antoine. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, again, thank you to Antoine Lestage for being on the show. One thing that he was talking about was, of course, the predictions for WRC coming up with this final round in Australia, which kicks off tomorrow. So I got to edit this thing and get it up quick. Well, I don't know if anybody's going to listen to this or are following the WRC on WRC Live, because you're going to be just glued to that thing day and night. I know I am.
Yeah.
Ian, do you have a prediction on who's going to win this championship?
My only prediction is I'm not going to get much work done because I'm going to be listening to listening and watching WRC live all the time. But I have been an OGA fan for a long time, and I think it's his title. I think he will finish higher than. I'm not going to say he will win in Australia, but I think he will finish higher than Neuville, so that he will win the championship. I haven't quite decided where I want him to finish yet. It'd be nice if he finished first, but I don't think that opening the roads on the first day is the place to be winning Rally Australia from.
I was listening to a friend of the show, Colin Clark. If you folks don't follow him, make sure you go to his YouTube channel. He's got his kitchen table that he calls it. Kitchen Table Shakedown, I think he calls it. Anyways, just search Colin Clark. You'll pull up his stuff. And he actually made some really good points. There's only 50 Ks approximately on the first day. Mm-hmm. Not a lot. And that's what really kind of sets you up for the rest of the weekend. So, with that short of a distance, and of course there's a short loop and then you run it again, the disadvantage of being first on the road is lessened quite a bit. Mm-hmm. There's also been some rain up in that area, so the weather forecast is a little touch and go as far as weather goes. But if it's enough to pat down that dust and give you a little more grip, very well he could win from the starting position. Not to say that everybody else doesn't have an advantage being farther back. They always do. The stress level that Neuville has on him is twofold. This is an interesting thing that was brought up. It's not that he just is in it for the championship. They're in it for the manufacturer's title versus Toyota.
This is his best. This is his best chance for a long time. I mean, he's I'm sure he can cope with this. Well, we hope he can cope with the stress. He's not coped with stresses and events very well in the past couple of years. But I mean, it's if he can get through the first day without ditching it somewhere. I mean, it really is. But what is great is it's so exciting, and we can't decide. It's like you watch sports like NASCAR, and they try and make their motor racing more exciting by splitting the motor race into 3 stages, and then at the end of the season we have the race to the playoffs. They're all trying to make their sport more exciting. But look, we're not tweaking with the format of rally, and we've got the most exciting finish to a rally championship in years.
The format works. You don't need a bunch of gamesmanship to make it interesting. That's for sure. Granted, there is always going to be the challenge that rally has that no other sport has. With each car running one at a time, you do have an advantage or a disadvantage depending where your start position is. It's always going to be present in the sport. Mm-hmm. Not really a whole lot you can do about it. They tried the whole qualifying thing, which I kind of was a fan of, but without some sort of qualifying thing on something to be some sort of neutral, even that, more passes on that can get better or worse. And but anyway, you're right. It doesn't need any gamesmanship to make it exciting, as we know. As far as Neuville's best chance, you're probably right in that Tanak is probably the number one bet for next year for a championship.
Mm-hmm.
And the way the Toyota's running versus everybody else, the Citroen will get better.
Yeah.
I think with Ogier on the team, it will probably win some rallies next year.
Mm-hmm.
But I think out of the gate, the Toyota will be dominant. And Hyundai, they're still, I think, trying to catch up performance-wise. Their car can be a little squirmy, it seems. I know that, we've seen Andreas Mikkelsen has had trouble trying to get a good balance in the car. We know he's not a bad driver.
Yeah.
It's been interesting to see what's been happening with him. So, my prediction for this one, I think Tanak might win this rally. I think Ogier second, and I think it's going to be like a Latvala third, probably, and then maybe a Neuville. So I think the Toyotas will be right up there, but I think Ogier will be able to split them because I think he's got the performance, and he's got a little bit less of the pressure, and yeah, I think he's got this one in the bag for the championship.
Yeah, I think
sure.
he's used to the pressure. That's the thing. He can manipulate the pressure to his advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's not world champion for however many times that he has been world champion for no good reason. He's able to draw on that pressure to make him perform better, which puts more pressure on those further behind him. So, and like Antoine said, was it a quote from Ogier? It's better to be in front. It's better to be 2 points in front than 2 points behind, or something.
Yeah, it's definitely better to have the points lead.
Yeah,
and versus being the one trying to make up points for sure.
Yeah.
So, yep, I'm in agreement with that. Remember, you can watch all that stuff on All Live. If you don't have that, then make sure you tune into Red Bull TV. They'll have some of their live coverage as well, and their summary highlights. It's going to be a good weekend. It's going to be a lot of sleepless nights.
For sure, that is true.
Get that coffee started.
Oh god, yeah, I'm going to be a caffeine addict by the end of the weekend.
All right. Well, any final words before we sign off, Mr. Ian Holmes?
Well, I think there's one thing that we should mention, that this show sees the two-year anniversary of us working together on this podcast.
Well, there you have it.
Well, it feels like longer sometimes, but no, it's only been 2 years for us, mate.
Have I been that bad to you that it seems like longer? You know what? This has been just a good ride. I've been having so much fun doing these, and it was extra fun actually getting where had one of our favorite fans and listeners, Mike Cleaver, being able to send us a message while we were doing our interview with Antoine, and get some fan interaction there too. And that's what we do. We're all just fans. Mm-hmm. We just love the sport, and what an incredible season in WRC. And well, of course, I guess we didn't mention, obviously the exciting drama with ARA. We now have the Snowdrift Rally being added to their championship. Kind of a last-minute thing there, but wow, that's one that I think a lot of people weren't expecting from moving away from Rally America.
That's a rally that is on my to-do list for sure, and to get it in the ARA as well, that'd be great.
That, along with 100 Acre Wood, now that's two more that are from the former championship series have now made the move. So I'm not going to say that means that Rally America is dead and done. I think as long as they can break even, they can continue on. But I'll give them credit for new events that have come on the calendar on their side. So that's been really good. But it'll be interesting to seeing a championship with yet another round added to it. Yeah, I'm excited to see which events I can make it to. I will not be able to make it to all of them. I just know that for a fact. In addition to the fact that I've only got so much vacation time, I've run into a situation where my former coworker, I say former now, I don't have a backup at work, and so taking vacation is going to be a little bit of a challenge until I get a new person in there and get them trained up, and that's always tough when you don't have a number two to cover for you. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, we should also mention that Namaji is coming up in a couple of weeks. I will be there in the co-driving in the white truck for three triangles rally sport. That's what we're calling ourselves now, Scott Parrott and I in the Chevy S10. We are calling ourselves three triangles rally sport, or we're probably
So is
going to be
that
really.
the caution triangles for going off
Yeah,
the road?
that's it. Yeah, we're trying to be really continental about it and calling ourselves triangles, but I can't say as you tell, I can't say
Twiangles?
triangle.
Twiangles.
Yeah, there you go.
We are the
So,
Twiangles, dude.
so yeah, we're three triangles rally sport right now.
Well, good luck. That sounds like a fun event. And I'd like to throw in at the end here a bit of pretty cool trivia that our good friend Gary Boyd, aka at KiwiWRC fan on Twitter, sent me just after we finished our recording. 1986 was the previous time a WRC driver's title was decided on the last round of a season that was not Rally GB. It was the Olympus Rally here in the USA, which, as we've mentioned many times, was the last ever WRC Group B event. Juha Kankkunen, driving the Peugeot 205 T16, just needed to finish in ninth to secure the driver's title from Markku Alin, who was driving the Lancia Delta S4. He succeeded in doing so and became the final Group B champion. Thank you, Gary, for this awesome bit of trivia. All right, well, I think that about does it for this week's RallyCast. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Remember, you can listen to our show on iTunes, on Google Podcasts, or search your favorite podcast app. We're also on all the popular social media platforms and now offer our shows on YouTube as well. So please make sure you subscribe, tell a friend, give us a like, share it. You know what to do. We definitely appreciate that. The more numbers, the better. It makes us look good for if and when we ever get a sponsor, which would be kind of cool too. Anyways, thanks again for listening, everybody, and thanks again to our special guest, Antoine Lestage. What a legend he is. Fun having him on the show.